Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. My apologies. I was supposed to do this video starting at 10:30 today, but I actually had to start it early because I forgot I had an appointment today at 11. So I got to try to wrap this up by at least 9:30, jump in the shower and get ready to head to my appointment. So my apologies for anybody who is expecting this video at 10:30. Well, this is a video by request where I've had a couple people put in and wanted to know if I can kind of explain when I talk about veterans who are 70 or let's say 80% and below, why not go to another country? Why stay in America? Can you give us some reasons and explain your thought process versus some of the things that they're thinking? Now, when I talk about being abroad, I'm talking about major cities abroad. I'm not talking about the small pueblos. When I was on vacation at a small pueblo, it is possible to live in these small pueblos very well. But in major cities, I'm not going to come off that. I'm not Bogota, Medellin, or Santo Domingo, Santiago, or Panama City, or you talking Rio. Ain't no way I will sit there and tell a person that. Okay, but if you're talking these smaller cities outside of the major cities, that is possible. All right, so let's get started. So money saving tips for veterans and veterans who are currently in the United States who feel like the 70%, I don't know how much those are, or 80% or 60% is not enough to be where they currently are. Now I put in the community page, a top 25 list from Yahoo Finance that shows cities currently in the United States of America where you can live on $1,500 a month. Okay. Now they're not like a lot of well-known, some of them are well-known, but they're not like a whole lot of well-known channels. What's going on, family man? How you doing? Mr. Steele, good morning. How you doing today? They're not like a lot of well-known locations. They're smaller towns outside of major cities. And there are people currently living there on those type of budgets, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 a month. Okay. One of the things though, I don't think people consider as a veteran, I'm not talking about your average Joe. I'm talking about as a veteran. Oops. Oh, okay. I lost my connection. I'm talking about as a veteran that people don't consider. What's going on, Mr. B? How you doing? Is all of the benefits a veteran has in America that when you're on that small budget, you leave and it's like, okay, you realize what you're giving up, right? Because the biggest one, the most expensive expense that when you leave the United States, you're giving up is healthcare, free healthcare. You 50% or above, doesn't matter, whatever it is, you're giving that up to go somewhere else to now incur that cost. So let's just stick with 1,500, all right? For me, and I know most people are not going to get this kind of coverage that I had before I got the local coverage, but I had Cigna Healthcare. Cigna Healthcare that included me being airlifted from here to Florida, okay? That cost me over $550 a month that I was paying every month for healthcare. Now, some of you all are going to say, well, they got the third parties. Okay, cool. The third parties are only going to cover what you're service connected for, FMP. FMP is not total health insurance. Even if you get those, right? Even if you sign up for FMP, when you're in these countries, you're more than likely going to have to pay for what? Healthcare. And depending on the type of healthcare you get, because you can buy bottom line healthcare. I think the lowest I've heard of here is like $20. Okay, $20 a month. $20 a month just says you have healthcare. And you're only going to get that type of healthcare once you get an ID card. In order to get an ID card, you have to pay for healthcare before that somewhere else. which is a lot of cases because of who you are and where you're from, is not going to be $20. You're still going to be looking at a couple $100 a month. So if you only want $1,500, you barely got enough as it is. Now you're going to lose 200 and something of that every month just to get health care. And let me clarify what health care is in a lot of these countries that people don't quite get. Health care is really just the basics, because it'll get you to your appointment to see a doctor. But any specialist you got to see, you got to pay for that. That's not included in most healthcare plans. So if you got to go see a heart specialist, that's a separate bill you coming out of pocket. You got to get the medication from the heart specialist. That's a separate bill you're coming out of pocket. All of that adds up. Now, is it going to be the cost it would be in America? No. But as a veteran, you wouldn't have paid any of that. You're not paying a dime of that. You get all that for free. You understand what I'm saying? So people, I don't think a lot of times people realize how much a veteran gets in benefits in America until you leave America. And then you realize, wait, damn, this is a bill I'm incurring that I normally wouldn't pay. For example, even going to your healthcare appointments, depending on where you live, you may take the bus, and let's say the bus costs you $2 a day. And let's say you go 2 times a week. That's $4 a day, right? Well, over a month, a week, over a month, that'll add up. That's a cost again that you get back in the States. Regardless of where you are in the States, you get that cost back. So a lot of times, man, again, I'm not trying to discourage people, but I was asked this question, and I want people to understand what you're giving up when you leave America and you go abroad. Understand what you're giving up. Understand that you have a VA home loan certificate that you can use to help you purchase a home. A lot of people forget about that. A lot of people forget you are entitled in some states to get a free license plate, free parking, free hunting license, free fishing license. Depends on the state that you're in, free education for your spouse, for your kids. All of that stuff you're giving up. You're saying, okay, I don't want any of that. I'm going to take this little bit that I got and I'm going to head abroad. Which is fine. That is perfectly your choice to do it. But when you're asking me, and then the Western lifestyle that you're giving up. So I mentioned earlier that I went to a small pueblo. Is it possible to live well in a small pueblo on $1,000 or $1,500? Yes. It is very possible to live well in a small pueblo, not in a major city. No, no. But in a small pueblo, you can live very well because most costs in that small pueblo are going to be negligible. But there's nothing there. There's no malls. There's no shopping centers. There's just simple living. That's what it is. There's a couple of little stores. There's a hardware store. There's not going to be shoes your size. If you're a 10 and above, they're not going to have it. They're not going to have any of the latest stuff anywhere. You're going to just be simple living. That's it. Rent no more than maybe $125, $130 a month. No hot water unless you install it. Again, none of the latest fashions, and there's not going to be any elevators. You're going to have to take stairs everywhere. So if your apartment's 11 floors up, you walk 11 floors up and 11 floors down. You want to live that way, standard way of living that locals live here, then that's fine. Go do that. But in America, people don't realize until you leave America, the simplest and the smallest things that were so easy to handle can be a chore somewhere else. When one, you don't understand what they're saying, and two, you got very little to move around to get things done. The only problem I see with going to a pueblo is the transportation aspect, especially as a disabled veteran. If you have an issue, because you might be 2 hours out, 3 hours out. How you gonna get help? Because those little hospitals, yeah, they don't have like all of the latest advances that they have in the major cities. So how you gonna get help? And that's the thing, man. It's like, once again, I'm not trying to discourage people from doing what they want to do. But when you guys ask me to compare and look at the savings that veterans get abroad versus what they get in the States, I have to disagree. There's far more that you get in the States than you ever gonna get abroad. That's just being honest. Especially when you're talking major cities. Now, if you're talking, you're gonna live local style in a pueblo, I got no argument for you, because I've been in those pueblos. I know what they are. But in any major city, anywhere around the world, no, you're never gonna convince me of that, never. As someone living in a major city, no, you're not living, you're surviving. What's going on, T-Mix? How you doing? Yep, exact, Mr. B. Yeah, international medicine, depending on what it is, Mr. B, it could be more than it is here, especially if it's something that's imported and it's not generic. Like if you want the original version of something and you don't want the generic equivalent, it could cost more here than it costs you in the States. Good morning, everyone. I'm headed to bed. Those men, what's going on, Mike? What's up, man? Much love you. Hey, appreciate that, Evan Almighty. Good morning, sir. Hope all is well. Thank you for what you do. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And again, I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I'm really not. But there's some of you guys, when you go to places, you realize you made a mistake. That is not the same. It's not. It doesn't really kick in to a lot of people until they have that first emergency situation. That first emergency situation usually make people realize, yeah, this is not what I thought it was. And it could be something as simple as they traveled with one card and they lost that card. How much hell they gonna catch just getting something done because they lost their debit card? And depending on the bank that they're with, it may take two weeks, 3 weeks, a month and a half, 2 months just to get another card. And in the meanwhile, how you gonna survive? Well, there's only a few ways you can survive. You either gotta send money to someone else there and hope they pick it up and bring it to you. Or some of the cards online, you can do a temporary card, but most of the ATMs here won't allow you to just use your phone, hit the machine and take out money. So there's a lot that happens in these countries, man, that people are not honest about and they tell you guys about, but they'll leave something in the comment section saying, yeah, you know what? I went through this, it didn't work out, and I ended up having to go back to the States. Or they ended up going to Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands because they could get free healthcare. People never see those things, bro, until an emergency situation comes up, and then they realize, they sit back and they realize and they go, wow, I never thought about that. That's usually when it happens. Let's see. I'm constantly worried about a reevaluation of my benefits. I've been 100% P&T for 3 years. You have no reason to worry about an evaluation, not if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. The thing with the VA or with any agency, government agency, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you tell people, if you're gonna leave the country, you at least tell them, hey, I'm leaving, I'm going such and such, and they know, okay, what's going on with you, they have no reason to bother you. It's only the people who don't talk to them, tell them nothing, and just go. Those are usually the ones that probably shouldn't be going, that they'll send a letter to, or they'll tell this or that. But in the 3 years that you had it, Evan Almighty, have they ever sent you a letter telling you anything different than what you've already done? Have they ever said, okay, we need you to be reevaluated for this or that? No. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you will not have a problem. You better know the rules and the laws. Yeah, that's another difference when leaving the US, coming here, is understanding the rules. And you want to know more about the rules, you can definitely go to the U.S. Embassy and look up the culture, rules, laws that are different than where you came from, your U.S. Embassy is a great resource for that. Facts, I'm 100% PNT and SSD. I just want to visit, not live. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Bruh, again, I don't want people to watch this video and think that I don't want you to travel. I don't want you to go anywhere. I don't want you to do anything. That's not what this is. What this is, man, is for people to open up their minds to understand where you're going. That's it. Because when you move abroad, regardless of who you think is there that may help you, and that's the key word, may help you, you're virtually on your own. And when you don't have a lot and you own your own, and you just imagine you lose your debit card or it gets stuck in an ATM or the magnet on the back stopped working. Now what? Now what? And then the places that you are left as options to move to when you come with so little, right? If you don't move in with a bunch of other dudes and be roommates or move into this really cheap hostel on one of the badder ends of town, it's like, okay, well, what are the options are we dealing with here? We're in America, and I'm not saying every situation in America is better, but you have less costs in America than you do abroad because a lot of the things that you don't pay for in America, you now have to pay for abroad. Medication is expensive, as Mr. B said earlier, especially if you got to have a particular type and you can't take the generic. Oh yeah, you gonna pay for that every month, dog. Where here, you would get it for free. The difference in the way the territory is, like here, there's a lot of hills. In Cologne, there's tons of hills. There's some areas that are flat, but eventually you're gonna run across some hills somewhere. When I showed in my video on my other channel, the pathways, the jagged rocks in the pathways, or you go, there's no rails on the stairs and the stairs go straight up. You're going to run into stuff like that. And you got difficulty walking, difficulty with your feet, your ankles, your knees, your backs. You're going to run into situations, dog, it's like, I'm going to have to pay this tax to go up here, which you really ain't got the money to do. I'm not scared of the VA. They're scared of me. Mr. B, you're right. You burn your uniform day one. You're right about that. You're right about that. Okay. Now, for those of you who are interested in seeing like more of this country, you know, I do videos on my other channel where I do tech, but I also show like when I go on vacation, where we're going, a little bit about each one of the pueblos and different things like that. You can go watch that over there. And me talking to my friends in Spanish, you can go watch that over there. But on this channel, because I had someone ask like, well, why don't you speak Spanish on here? To who? The majority of people on here who watch this channel from the States, they don't speak Spanish. But this is not a Spanish channel. But if you want to hear Spanish, go to my other channel and the videos where I'm with my friends, whether we're at birthday parties, just went on this mini vacation, because none of them speak English. So how do I communicate with them? Spanish. Let's see. Do you ever tell stories about your military experience? Not really, no. Like I said before, that's not for everybody. Like there's some people who will tell you every story about all the things they went through. For me, I'll just, like when me and Howard are talking about engineering things, I'll talk about the training that I've done with engineering and where we were in Fort Benning, Georgia, because we basically train in the same locations, even though we're many years apart. But as far as like breaking down the whole military experience, yeah, that's not something I like running through. Like some people like to talk about it. Like some people like to talk about different missions that they've been on, or different situations that they found themselves in, or some people were drill sergeants, some people were section commanders or whatever, and they talked about different situations of how they're different today versus when they first came in, which may have been 20 years ago, 25 years ago as a retiree. But for every person, no, that's, and I try to limit as much of that as I can, because for some people, talking about their military experience can be a nightmare because they don't want to relive it. So that's why I say everybody ain't the same. It's kind of like when you go to counseling and you talk about whatever the counselors want to bring up, like want to get into your issues. For some veterans, they're open to talk about kills, where other veterans, no, they don't want a remembrance of that at all, because it brings back bad memories. So, like if you worried about whether I was actually in the military, I mean, just go to my channel, go look at my very first video, if that's just concern. But as far as like talking about service overall, that's like, yeah, that's not something that I would personally like to relive over and over again. And I know some of you guys are very proud of what you've done while you were in your service, all of the awards that you got when you're in your service, all the rank that you've gone through, that you made it to, and that's cool. But for everybody, that's not the case. No war stories, burn, baby, burn. Yeah, it's just different, man. You know, like I said, it's not for everybody. Even for some of you guys who go to the VA and you go to group therapy and you start talking about certain things in group therapy, there are some veterans who will just get up and walk away. Or they'll just tell you straight up, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Let's leave that alone. I don't want to bring that subject up at all. And that's just being honest, okay? I'm sure a lot of you guys who have been in therapy at the VA or any kind of group setting, you've had this situation had before, where certain veterans, it just triggers something, a memory or something they've tried to forget through the years, and it brings it back, and they just don't want to deal with it. Like I try to explain to you guys a lot of times, man, everybody's not the same. I know for some of you vets, you guys want to talk about military life all day, every day. But for some vets, they never want to experience it. Like Mr. B taking his uniform and burning it day one. That's like, yeah, you done. You literally done at that point. But some other people though, man, you know, for them, especially when you're a retiree, you spent, I mean, a quarter of your life, well, most of your adult life, depending how old you are, in the military. So that's pretty much all you know at this point is military life, especially if you're a fresh retiree. Let's say you got in at 18 and you're like 43 years old, you just retired. I mean, it's hard for you as someone who retired from the military not to talk about it, because that's what you've done most of your adult life. So I get it. Let's see. I appreciate the answer. Here you want. It's all good. Let's see. Did you learn Spanish living abroad? Or you already? No. Okay. So let's just be clear with it. I'm not fluent in Spanish. I learned phonetically from, like, I have a live-in girlfriend. All my friends here, they speak Spanish. There's one or two that know a few words in English, but for the most part, it's all Spanish. I took a Spanish course in college. Didn't really pay much attention to it. Struggled when I was in the DR with Spanish a lot. It wasn't until I got here, I got serious about learning, and I would have my friends just sit down with me and go over different scenarios and repeat it, and then stop using the translator. And when they would text me every morning, like I get text messages every morning, try to read the text messages without using a translator, because people say pretty much the same thing every day. They just repeat over and over and over again the same things. Every now and again, they'll say something that's usually something they not repeat, and it's like, okay, that's a new word. Now I know what that word means, and then you just incorporate it in whatever else you got going on. But I didn't take any Spanish classes. A lot of things are just phonetic. From being around, it's almost like anything else. Once you're around that environment enough, you start hearing it enough, you start picking up on it, and then you start learning from it. So I don't understand every single word that they say, but I get the conversation. I'll get the conversation, or I ask them to explain a little bit more or explain it a different way. Hell yeah, some people see dead people. Yeah. You're right about that. It was easy to brain dump after 20 years. Yeah, yeah. I mean, some people though, guys, just keeping it 100, want to talk about their experience that they had as far as war, and uh, everybody's experience wasn't the same. Some people, they look at it as a way of venting, of getting out what may be frustrating to them, things that they would have changed from their whole campaign. Or some people look at it as, I never want to feel those sensations that I felt not knowing if I was going to make it back home the next day or be alive the next day. So, like I said, bro, everybody's different. Everybody's different. So to get back to this real quick, guys, I would just say for anyone who's considering going abroad, you have limited income. I honestly would look at the Pueblos. Just saying for me, now that I've been to these Pueblos and I've seen a lot of them and I see how people live in them, if you really want simple living, like you're not expecting to have any of the latest and the greatest, you want a quiet, simple life where you're like outside the Pueblos, you may be in the Campo area, living in the sticks. You want to live that kind of life, dog? Truth be told, and this is the God's honest truth, $500-$700, you perfectly fine, right? But you're not gonna have a Western lifestyle. Do not get the illusion that the way you live it in America is the way you're gonna live there. No. You're gonna live local style, right? The local way. You may have a bathroom, or you may have to go outside to a bathroom. That's local style. There ain't gonna be no shower in your place in a spot like that, dog. You got to go to that cold ass river in the morning and jump in like the locals do to take your bath or your shower. If there's a waterfall, there's a small waterfall, your shower in the morning. That's local living, dog. Especially in some of these small pueblos. That's local living. That's not anything I've ever seen in America, and I lived in poor as America. I've never seen a lot of the stuff here in America, because in America, hot water is standard. You tell me somewhere you go, you don't get hot water in America, an apartment anywhere in America that you don't get hot water, unless it's some shack somebody built in the back for you to stay in, because that's like standard stuff in America. Here, not in these pueblos. Mr. B said, got to have dough, money. Mr. B, you remind me of me through chloroform. What? Chloroform shoes? Chloroform? What is that? Shoes and trash, and soon after the dog tags. That's what I'm saying, man. Everybody just don't want to share that experience. It wasn't the greatest thing. Now, if you're a female, and I don't really talk about female stuff that much, obviously, because I'm not a female, but I can only imagine, man, as a woman in the military in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, it couldn't have been that pleasant. Because I remember times, man, like guys would see a girl in uniform go by and it'd just be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous. I mean, they just whistling and whatnot at her. I'm like, wow, dude, I couldn't imagine it. So I have no idea what women went through who were in service in the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. Unlike now, bruh, you whistle at a woman if you want to now, or you say something slick and you in service, you ain't gonna be in that long. It doesn't work like that now. But back then, yeah, you could get away with people even before my time in the 90s, I'm sure they got away with a whole lot more back then. You probably slapping them on the ass and everything. But like now, no, dog. You trying that now. Yeah, you could. Let's see. I would be afraid to live in pueblos, especially in or near the mountains, for various reasons. Yeah, because Safety is one of the things I really consider when I go to places, just being honest, because they know you're a foreigner. I don't care how much Spanish you know. Your Spanish is different than theirs. Even the way they pronounce certain words is different. Um, Once they know you're a foreigner, you could attract the wrong kind of attention, especially if they know you're out in the woods by yourself. You're an easy target at that point. It's a very easy target at that point. There's been many people, there's been many stories of people who come from all over. There was a girl who came here from Russia. She went out to St. Helena. St. Helena is about 15, 20 minutes outside the city of Medellin. And it's really ain't nothing there. There's just fincas, there's little small houses. There's not like apartments and stuff that you would normally see. She was out there maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Some people find out that she was out there by herself, went out there, man, and killed her. Took everything she had, killed her. That's real. That's something you have to consider also, is your safety. You're going somewhere, depending on where you're going, and situations that happen where you're going, like if you don't really know people, right? I try to go with people that I know, and I try to go, or if I'm going to stay somewhere I know people. Like when we stay in Guarny, we know people in Guarny. It's a little bit different. We walked around Guarny a lot. People see me, so they have an idea of who I know and that I'm not new there. But when you're just going somewhere for the first time, dude, you got to consider safety as one of the things as well. Yeah, I remember those days I enlisted in 84 to 2000. So yeah, you're a retiree. Women got treated different. Yeah, bro. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine what T-Mix, MT, what you guys went through when you were in. Yeah, I mean, back in those days, man, it had to be hell for women compared to the way it is now. Man, y'all, mentally, you guys were very strong to deal with a lot of shit that a lot of these guys was throwing out at you all. Somebody like Warrior who's in supply, that's somebody you want to be your best friend, right? To get you everything that you needed in supply. Knowing somebody in finance was another good resource. I just try to network. When I was in, dude, same thing I do as a civilian. I try to network as much as possible here. I try to know somebody, especially in things that I'm into here. I try to network. I try to meet them, be friends with them. Hey, I'll take them to lunch. I'll hang out. We'll hang out on the weekend when they got a day off, whatever, right? Because you never know when you may need help. So I always try to network wherever I am in the world, dude. I always try to network. Let's see. No, I always got my respect and had backup too. Okay, that works. Let's see. When you travel to those pueblos, you ever notice soldiers in front of those small towns? Yes. Sometimes, Jay, there are like on my last trip when we went to Ciudad Bolivar, on the bridge, like when you're crossing over to go into that bridge, there were a ton of soldiers out there, all heavily armed. And that's because there was a group not too far away. I forgot what they're not the forest, they're the other group that's up in the mountains that come down. What happens, guys, is there are guerrilla groups, okay, that are in those mountains, and they'll come down to those small pueblos and they'll recruit the young kids to join their groups. And a lot of times those kids, man, they don't have much opportunity in the small towns that they're in. So they'll go join those different groups up in the mountains. When you're in a small town like that, bro, and I do mean small pueblo. I showed you guys who watched that video how close those houses are to the road. And then you get into the actual town, ain't a whole lot there. There's not a whole lot of opportunity there. So when those soldiers or when those groups come down from the mountains, they'll have money. They'll make things appear super great. Now they got to go live up in the damn mountains, become soldiers. It's just a different life. It's a different life here. Someone touched my, wow, okay. Salute T-Mix. Let's see. Someone touched me. I punched them, knocked the wind out of them. Never again. I had my own back. Okay. Okay. I got you, T-Mix. I gave them, yeah, so did I, man. It all, to me, family, man, is all about how you grew up as a kid. My grandparents were very old school. Very old school. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. That type of thing, man. And it was like, yeah, you got older sisters, siblings. You learn quick. But that wasn't everybody's experience. Everybody grew up different. Everybody sees the world different. I try to treat people the way I would want to be treated. In other words, I'll put it that way. All right. But some quick saving tips before I go, man. And this usually happens. And you guys, I want to be real for a second now. You guys, this normally happens to a lot of you all. We're in the middle of August, right? From January to now, a lot of you guys have not had any family members, any close friends reach out to you just to say hello, how you doing, how you been, nothing, right? In about 3 months, you're going to start getting phone calls. Hey, I don't really have nothing to give the kids for Christmas. I was wondering if you can give me this, or can you help me out with that? We're getting ready to have Thanksgiving dinner, and can you send me $200 or $300? Now, y'all grown people. You all do what you want to do as an adult. Y'all are grown. You know your family. I don't. But I'm going to tell you what I do, okay? Because from January till now, I only have certain family that reach out to me, always checking on me, always making sure I'm good, or sometimes they just want to talk. Or they'll be their little nieces and nephews that'll send me a message on Messenger or hit me up on FaceTime and ask me how I'm doing, or they'll just tell me how their day was, or they had a great basketball game, or they had a great football game. I have those happen quite often. But something I'm not going to do is respond to family members I haven't heard from all year long, until a week before Christmas or 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and they go, oh, I need help. You knew you needed help from January till now. You knew you could have saved money if it was only $25 a month from January to where you are now. You guys understand what I'm saying? They have no respect for me. They don't even care enough to even call to say how you doing, but they got no problem asking me for money. So for people like that, dog, I don't even deal with. I don't even answer the phone. Once I see who it is, I haven't heard from you all year. Why all of a sudden do I care what you think at the last moment? I don't help them. I'm sorry. I ain't that much of a Christian yet to where I feel I need to give them something because they all of a sudden just ask. I'm not doing it. Okay? Because you guys, there's some of you guys every year will ask that question. Can I get a loan on my Social Security? Can I get a loan on my VA? Is there any way I can get an extra check this month? We in August. You know you want to get certain people something for Christmas, whatever it may be. You better start saving now. Because stuff ain't getting no cheaper. If you start saving now, let's say you didn't do it this month, you start in September. September, October, November, December. You got 4 months to take care of whatever it is. Okay? But I'm just saying to you guys, don't get into debt trying to be something that you're not. Don't go and overspend your budget. Don't max out your credit cards. Don't do any of that trying to help people who never tried to help you. And a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys got your disability the hard way. Some of y'all had nowhere to go while you were waiting to get your 100%. Some of you guys slept on couches. Some of you guys slept in cars. Some of you guys may have slept in a shelter. Some of you guys may not have anywhere to go. You may have just stayed outside all night long wondering how this is going to work out for you. And when you got your disability, when you got your money, that's when everybody came to you. Don't forget, when you didn't have nothing, who helped you? Because whoever helped me is who I'm helping. The people who just come in Johnny Lately's, I do nothing for, dog. I do nothing for. Okay, I wanted to put that out there before I get off, because every year I get that question, how can I get in advance? You should have been saving. Shouldn't have to tell grown people this, but from day one, starting January, the new year, you should have opened up a savings account, $25, $50, $100 a month, whatever it takes, because you know this is coming. It comes every year. What we got here? Salute the family, man. Mr. Seals say no. Can you adopt me? Nah, I ain't got no money. Let's see. I'm doing a group text now telling them I'm broke. Let's see. I'm in Virginia. I have to pay property taxes twice a year. So that's my answer. Wow. Okay. You got to pay. You should have to pay property taxes in Virginia, but maybe that's what you're telling them. But I'm serious, man. I'm not a selfish person, dude. I try to help as many people as I can, but I'm not trying to give up anything to people I haven't heard from all year. And it's not like people can't reach out to you. Even if they don't have your phone number, dog, you usually friends with them on Facebook, Instagram, something, right? You friends with people somewhere on social media. And even if they don't have your number, all you all know somebody who has the number, and they can reach out and say, hey, such and such want to talk to you. They haven't talked to you in a while. Can I give them your number? Cool. But when they just come out of the blue, you haven't heard from them in years. Hey, I just wanted to know if you could help me and get the kids something for Christmas. And they always gonna throw the kids in there, man, to make you feel sorry for them. To know, man, you got these nieces and nephews that you want to help. So what I do is, okay, the kids need something, I'm gonna give it to one of my younger sisters or somebody that knows you, so they can get it to the kids. Because I ain't giving it to you. Ain't no way I'm giving it to you. I'm gonna give it to somebody else to buy something for the kids, to give it to the kids. That's what I do. I'm just telling you what I do. Yeah, my vehicle doesn't depreciate. It goes up in value. So the taxes increase too. Wow. Okay. Let's see. You were fine before you called me. You'll be fine when I hang up. I hear you, Mr. B. It is a shame. I'm being honest, man. It's a shame. I talk more to strangers online every Saturday than I do to some family members. That is crazy to me. That is crazy to me, right? Like, I have my kids that call, talk to them. I have my little cousins that call, I talk to them. I have quite a bit of people that I hear from, even exes, right, that I hear from, that check on me to see how I'm doing. But you have some family members, dude, that only seem to think that you are their solution when it comes to money. Anytime it comes to money, you the solution. That's the only time they need to call. I'll be like, nah, dog, you need to go to the bank with those kind of problems. You need to go talk to the bank, see if you can get a loan. I'm not it. I'm not it. But all right, guys, are there any other questions before I get out of here? I know this conversation kind of went all over the place, but are there any other questions you guys have before I get off? Because I do need to go. Yeah, I'm a little over. Jump in the shower and go to my appointment at 11 today. We appreciate you too. Look for Saturday, then sleep till about 10. Okay. Okay. Things are a little different. I am trying something, guys, with my iPad. That's what I'm using right now. I want to see if I can use my iPad, and I'm gonna do a video on this on my other channel, as my only computer. Like, I put my MacBook away because I barely use it. I pretty much do everything on my iPad now. So I'm trying to see if I can just use my iPad only every day for the next month without having to do anything on my MacBook. And I'll let you, and you guys will know because this background, I can't change it with my iPad. So as long as you see a regular background, you know that's what I'm using. But anyway, though, I appreciate everybody watching as always. You veterans out there, have a great day. You people who are only on Social Security as well who watch, you all have a great day. And I will see you guys on the next one. I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day.